As you can tell by my funny jumpsuit and the race car that's right beside me, I'm about to go on the track. We're at the Circuit Vallelunga just outside of Rome, and this car is the brand new 2022 Pagani Huayra R. Before I go out, a little discussion on what makes this car so special. For that, we have Francesco Perini, the head of everything technical for Pagani. So, Francesco, what makes this car so special? What makes it a track car compared to the regular Huayra?
Well, every detail of this car has been designed to create emotion specifically for the track, making the performance and the safety our priorities. So this is why from the entire bodywork to the monocoque and the gearbox and the engine, everything for this car has been designed specifically apart from the side mirror, which is something in common with the road legal Huayra.
So what you're telling me is that they share a name, and then the only other thing that they share is these mirrors.
Yes, correct, the side mirror.
You could have called it another name, couldn't you? It could have been a whole new different name, couldn't it? Okay. So the engine is pretty special in this car. It's a bespoke engine. There's only going to be 30 of them. You also have a V12 made by Mercedes, I believe, in the regular Huayra. This is also a V12, but it's not the same engine at all. Can you tell us what's back here?
Back in 2019, we had the idea of creating the last chapter of the Huayra. But for that specific chapter, we wanted a bespoke engine, and more specifically, a naturally aspirated engine. We're talking about a V12, 6 liters in a 60 degrees configuration where you can find 200 bars in the direct injection and a bespoke gearbox as well. So everything in the powertrain has been designed to fulfill the performance requirement to make it light and efficient. So this is why we went to HWA in Germany, where we used to partner with for the Zonda R engine, and we started to discuss the new engine application that we were looking for, which unfortunately at the time they didn't have because they were working on other different engines, such as the V8 turbo engine for the DTM, very exquisite and efficient engine. But in our opinion, he had few cylinders missing. So this is why we discussed the new requirements. We wanted to create a bespoke engine, a V12, that has been designed from a clean sheet, and in less than 1 year and a half, we had the first engine prototype that has been assembled in our vehicle.
So, okay, for the body, the only part that is common with the regular Huayra is the mirrors. What does this V12 share? Are there any parts in common with this V12 with the Mercedes V12 that is in the Roadster BC, for instance?
Not at all. There is nothing in common.
So nothing in the body and nothing in the engine.
Yes.
Okay. But you still call it a Huayra?
Yes.
Okay. Is the gearbox the same?
No,
the gearbox is not the same. Okay.
Not even the suspension. So every single part, apart from the side mirrors, has been designed specifically. And the reason is very simple. We were looking for lightweight in a most extreme way. The dry weight of the car is 1,050 kilograms. We were looking for maximum performance and emotions for both a gentleman driver and a professional driver. So we had to create the car very efficient but very easy to manage, something that could be predictable and quite forgiving in that way, but also that could be pushed to the limit by a professional driver.
Back to the old Huayra question here. Even the suspension, I think, is experimental, maybe for the next car that's coming down the pipe, right?
Yes.
So far we've got the gearbox, the engine, the chassis.
Which is bespoke as well.
Bespoke as well. And now the suspension.
The suspension has quite an interesting story because our idea was to anticipate the next generation of Pagani vehicle suspension system into the Huayra R to test it under severe condition of the track. In the Huayra R, you have a lot of downforce. We're talking about approximately 1,000 kilograms of downforce at 320 kilometers per hour. You have slick tires, so the suspension is really stressed. This is why we designed the new kinematic. We created the new parts with the aerospace grade aluminum alloy. It maximized the load transfer and efficiency. We recalculated everything in the suspension to make each single gram working effectively. And we tested on the Huayra R, using the Huayra R as a laboratory for future Pagani developments.
Which we won't name, which we can't name.
We can't name.
We can name.
Project name is C10.
Yeah.
It will be the next generation of road legal Pagani.
Yeah.
And
introduced on September 12th of this year, by the way.
And it will carry the same suspension system already tested on the Huayra R with one single difference, the mounting points, because the Huayra R has rigid mounting points due to the handling requirements for the track, when on the other hand, for a road car, you want the rubber in between for comfort driving as well. That's the only difference between the two suspension systems, but the wishbone and everything else will stay the same.
Well, parts commonality with the original Huayra or not. One thing that's always intrigued me about Paganis is the fact that you mix carbon fiber and titanium together for specific properties. I mean, if you know cars or you love cars or supercars, everybody knows carbon fiber. We also know that titanium is wonderful stuff and very expensive. Why do you mix the two? What's the benefit? Where do you use it?
Well, the carbon titanium is something that we invested with a lot over the last 10 years, and we had different developments specifically on this material. We're talking about composites, and when talking about composites, it's a wide range of application that we are having in the entire vehicle, which combines more than 40 different materials that we are using depending on the different requirement. For instance, one body panel has a different requirement compared to the rear extractor, compared to the chassis, or one rear crash box for energy absorbing functionality. So every single part have a different function, and in order to cover and fulfill the specific requirement, we mixed different materials, including the carbon titanium, which is a very exclusive material. It's a fabric combining in two different directions weaves of titanium grade wires and carbon fiber. So the titanium helps to absorb the loads, so it's widely used in the chassis in order to prevent any consequence given by the crash or lateral crash loads. So it reduces the speed and then absorbs the energy. But it's also combined with other material to give rigidity to the chassis. So it's a combination of things. That's why we invest so much in the composites.
So what it sounds like is that the titanium makes the carbon fiber less brittle in the case of an accident, but also gives it strength so that it can support the vehicle in the performance environment. Have I got that sort of right?
Yes. On top of that, we have other materials still in the chassis, which helps to increase the overall rigidity of the chassis, which is another parameter of the monocoque. And that is specifically designed to transfer effectively the loads from the front to the rear axle when driving. So the more stiffer is your chassis, and let's say the cleaner will be the handling of the car, because you can concentrate the fine-tuning through the suspension.
Okay. So we've talked about most of the car, and we've determined that it's called a Huayra, but it's not a Huayra. But that's okay. A Pagani by any name is just fine, isn't it? Okay. You've been involved in the development of this car right from the beginning. Tell me your favorite part of this car. What is it you are most proud of making? What is the most difficult making? What is the thing that you remember most of as a challenge, but also as a success? Is there any one part, or is there any one system that stands out for you as a great accomplishment?
Well, every system had its little accomplishments, to be honest. We had to work a lot to make everything fulfill our intention and to satisfy what we wanted for our customers. But on top of that, we wanted the car to be very safe, which means we took the FIA requirements for safety. We took the LMPH, the Le Mans High Performance, the hypercar category, safety requirements, and we analyzed everything combined with the Mercedes requirements in order to test the car under that conditions. So the chassis, the crash box, you know, everything related to safety was tested to make sure that the car could fulfill international standards in terms of safety. So just to mention a few examples, the chassis itself, which was supposed to be a road legal Huayra chassis, taken from there and adapted for the track application, was revisited and changed so many times that eventually we ended up with the Bespoke chassis, integrating the seat shell, making the lateral absorbing, crash absorbing structure embedded into the chassis, and creating the entire monocoque with just 3 pieces bonded together, which compared to the road legal car is half, because it's 6 parts compared to 3 parts bonded together. So the achievement for the specific monocoque was to exceed 50% of torsional rigidity on top of the standard we had for the road legal cars.
50, so it's 50% stiffer?
Yeah, actually 56%. Yeah.
Okay, so if everything changed, why did the mirrors stay the same?
We had to justify the name.
Very good. You're getting good at this. Okay, I'm David Booth for Driving.ca, and I've been talking to Francesco Perini, the head of the technical office for Pagani. And this is the 2022 Pagani Huayra R.